Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the video. Another paid request, this time from Fadi. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And Fadi wanted me to talk about the first Bad Boys movie. 1995 it came out, which pretty much brought Michael Bay into fruition. Doing music videos, got a test run for the guy, and then this led to The Rock, which was an even bigger hit, and then it led to bigger movies, Armageddon, of course the Transformer films, and so forth. And Michael Bay is one of those guys that it's easy to make fun of, and at times I have as well. I'm not big on the Transformer films. But a lot of his over-the-top, big-budget means of Bayhem, I've enjoyed quite a few of them. I do like Bad Boys 1 and 2 a lot. Those are my favorite Michael Bay movies. I did enjoy The Island with Ewan McGregor. Even Pain and Gain I had some fun with. I enjoyed The Rock with Sean Connery. Six Underground I did not mind. I thought I had fun with it. Not a fan of everything Michael Bay's done, but I've liked some of this stuff. And the script of this film was around for a while. Believe it or not, Dana Carvey and John Lovitz at one point were going to star in it, and I could not see this film working with those two. Would have been a completely different movie. Definitely would not have been a film directed by Michael Bay, because I don't know how Michael Bay would have worked with Dana Carvey and John Lovitz, like Garth from Wayne's World, and like the guy from City Slickers 2, and how the hell you don't make them any amount of action stars? It would be a completely different movie, completely different mood, completely different in tone. It would have been a disaster. But thankfully, one thing led to another, and you did Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, two guys who at the time had TV shows, Martin and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And they were fresh on the block. Each one had done maybe a few little bits of movies. Martin Lawrence was in Boomerang. He was in, I think, the first two House Party films. Will Smith had done bits here and there. Forget that one movie he did about the homeless kids, teenagers. I think Dermot Mulroney was in it. That was an early 90s film. I think he did one called, was it 6 Degrees of Separation? It was something like that. I think he was in Made in America with Whoopi Goldberg and Ted Danson. So both had done like bit parts. And this has really helped their career. Because after this, Martin Lawrence would get leading roles in films like Blue Street and Big Mama's House and various other movies. Will Smith, the year after, would do Independence Day, and then the year after that, Men in Black. Now, yes, Will Smith, after Slapgate, I can't really say I respect him as much as I used to. Can I still watch his early work? Yes. I mean, it's not like he killed someone. He didn't murder someone or anything of that nature, but he did something that was wrong, and he needs to get his life together. He needs to get the fuck away from Jada Pinkett, and if he doesn't, then there's no way to help him. So it's hard to see a guy, he's like, he's emasculated, but he doesn't realize it. So that makes me less interested in his future endeavors, but I still like his early work. I still love Bad Boys 1 and 2, among other films. I like the third Bad Boys as well. I thought that was a nice surprise. But the first Bad Boys, still a lot of fun. Still entertaining, still funny. I would say the first one is, there's some entertaining action pieces, but it's, I think, the funniest of the three. Because I would say Bad Boys 2... Bad Boys 1's the funniest, in my opinion. Bad Boys 2 has the best action, and I think it's the best action movie. And Bad Boys 3, I think, has more heart than... So it's fun, like, each one has their own primal function that it does the best at. Not that the others don't have those other attributes, but that's the way I look at them. So I find it an entertaining trilogy. I love the music in this movie. Mark Mancina, I think it's one of those, I don't know if I say underrated, but classic 90s action movie scores from the opening. Din, 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 din. And I do think it's the best score of all the Bad Boys films. Mark Mancina, he did a lot of great work. He worked on the film Speed, which is a great score. He worked on Con Air with Trevor Rabin. Another wonderful score, one of my favorite scores of that era. And this is another great score. It's a very talented guy. And from the get-go, you just see just how wonderful the chemistry is between these two guys. They're full of life and energy and going back and forth like they've been friends for years. And you have Will Smith as the guy who got money from his parents, and he's the rich guy, but he's also wanting to prove himself, and a bit more in terms of the action and the rush and getting the women. On the flip side, you have Martin Lawrence, who's more the everyman guy. He's got a family, wife, and kids, and he's not crazy about the rush and the danger. He just wants to do his job. And they're back and forth, and like Martin Lawrence is on fire. And funny enough, watch it again, I realize when you watch the film, it's more Martin Lawrence's movie than Will Smith. Now, Will Smith has stuff to do, of course, and Will Smith has a lot of his own moments, to be fair. But you could tell in Bad Boys 2 and 3, because Will Smith was the bigger star, he was the bigger movie star, his movies were making the more money, he was getting front and center. Like, Martin Lawrence still had stuff to do, but it was more Will Smith's film. You know, Will Smith had more action and stuff to do in Bad Boys 2. He has the whole character of Bad Boys 3 with his son, you know, all that jazz with the plot. But this one really felt like Martin Lawrence's movie. Whether it be him having to deal with Téa Leoni and him having to pretend to be Will Smith's character, because Téa Leoni thinks Martin is Will Smith's character and that's the only person she can trust. Because a friend of hers died during this meeting, and that friend said, if you ever need help, get this guy. I don't have a picture of what he looks like, but this is his name. And he definitely has the highlights in terms of the humor. You know, he gets his fair share of action at the end, same with Will Smith. Like, you could tell that in this it would be Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, while the other two would be Will Smith and Martin Lawrence on the call sheet. So that's what makes this interesting interesting look into compared to the next two. And like I said, from the get-go, you did tell that they have great chemistry when they're in the car, just riffing back and forth. They're in Will Smith's expensive car. Like, this is $80,000, you got no damn cup holder? No, it's this much money. No, you don't get that French fry. Just hold, okay, just wait, you know. I can't reach down there. If I do, I come with this shit. And they get in hijet. And, you know, Martin Lawrence looked at this big guy. You must be a Popeye chicken, you motherfucker. But you just hold the fuck on. And he kissed the guy in this. Wesley Snipes, passenger 57. They give me a motherfucking hanky. And Will Smith, like, if you looked at this one, it's a little bit less of the, hell nah, with the Wild Wild West, you know, type of Will Smith. He has his moments, but compared with others in the future, this is a little bit more subdued compared to, again, his future projects. But that back and forth throughout the whole movie has a great chemistry to it. The boss, Joe Pantoliano, who would later be in The Matrix, he was one of the bad guys in The Goonies. He does a fun job as the boss. And, I mean, the plot, Chucky Terrio, who I remember is the bad guy in Jet Li's Kiss of the Dragon, good actor, the cast is the bad guy. Him and his men steal a bunch of drugs, and the good guys have to go get him back. On the search, Will Smith talks to someone he knows. She's able to talk to someone she knows, set up this deal where this guy just throwing drugs everywhere, having a party. Téa Leoni, which she was in Jurassic Park 3. She was married to David Duchovny for a while. I don't know if they are anymore. She joins that lady. Chucky Terrio comes in, realizes this one of his cohorts are blowing drugs and money before this big deal, rectifies the situation. But Tay Leone is a witness to the crime. She will only talk to Will Smith's character, but Will Smith's not there at the time. So Joe Pantoliano tells Martin, you gotta go meet her, you gotta pretend to be him. This is our only witness. And throughout his, Martin Lawrence tried to be Will Smith, go into Will Smith's apartment. And just, Martin Lawrence was a natural. I try at riffing. Like, he's tripping, like, why am I tripping shit on stuff I already know is there? You know? It's either him trying to deal with his marriage and trying to deal with these two phones. It's like, screw you. Oh, no, I was talking to... No, screw you. Screw you means... Screw you's a good thing. I know it. God damn it. And even the way he talks with Tay Leone. I think Tay Leone does a capable enough job as well. She doesn't come off, at least to me, as too annoying or irritating. And Martin's like, you know what? The bad guys probably know where you're at. Okay, if you don't talk to me, I'm gonna boot your narrow ass. Or she's like, why do you do it? Oh, you know, bullets damn near grazing my ass. This be a rush. Or even when she's giving him crap about eating food and bologna. And it's like, fine, I don't eat bologna anymore. Can I eat the pickle? Well, I mean, there's a lot of salt. Well, there's a lot of salt. He dumps in the fucking, like, Coca-Cola. Okay, no salt. So can I eat the salt now? Great pickle. I even like the other police officers who's kind of the other two cops who are, by the end, they're allies. There's Nestor Serrano and Julio Oster Bichizo, which I know these guys. I've seen them in a variety of other movies and bit parts. I thought they had some fun bits riffing against our two leads. What is it, honey? PMS? And Martin's like, damn the jokes, okay? Damn them. Or at this point, since Will Smith doesn't want to break Martin Lawrence's cover, he's staying at Martin Lawrence's place. So he's calling and talking with Martin Lawrence's wife, and she's hung up. And in order to fuck with Martin Lawrence, he's like, so what are you wearing? And Martin Lawrence says, hey, no, she hung up, I swear. Everybody about the fucking jokes today. Hello? Just the way Martin Lawrence's face, his reactions, his expressions. Will Smith does a good job in the movie, but Martin Lawrence to me is really the star of the film. Even the bit when they're in the car earlier and they're driving, and then Will Smith, and apparently Michael Bay told Will Smith to say this, it wasn't in the script, but you know, it made Martin Lawrence mad. So Will Smith says, "You driving like a bitch," and then Martin's always like, "Why's it gotta be like that, huh? You calling me a bitch? How about I drive this car off this fucking cliff and you keep fucking with me? Then what would it be? Two bitches in the sea." That's what really makes this film work, was the chemistry between the two. Martin Lawrence being on fire, not being held back, so having the R rating to be able to be free in the ad-libs. And Michael Bay does have, you know, that 90s, you just say, electric, or I should say energetic editing. And you can tell that when you look at the action scenes, they're fun to watch, but they're not nearly what Michael Bay is used to. And if you listen to the commentary, you hear him complain about the action scenes throughout the entire commentary. That he didn't have the budget to do what he wanted, that the crew didn't know what they were doing, like they shoot a hole through a door, it's like the size of a pizza, and Michael Bay hates that shot. Just look at the action scenes, like during this bit where they're in this club. Something happens. Our two leads of Tay Leone get into this van. It's like an ice cream truck, but happens to have ether. And you see the way it's shot, completely 180 to what Michael Bay would do later on. It's like up close to the characters and the van, maybe a little bit medium shot of the car, maybe a swerve. But he's doing like what he can in terms of going back and forth, the music, the acting, everything else is what really makes the scene work, and not so much the. There is fun action, but not nearly. It's not the total Michael Bay him that we'd see later. But there's still some effective bits. Like later, like there's a bit where Tia Leone's character gets kidnapped, and Will Smith's going after them on foot. And there's a bit where the bad guys are going through this narrow thing outside, and there's like a guy on a bicycle who runs, and as soon as he turns a corner, the truck goes by. I'm like, this guy turns, and he's this far away from this high-speed vehicle, and it captures the right moment. I'm like, wow, that's a fucking close call. Well, of course, my favorite action piece is in the finale, where he's in this airport hangar, and our good guys come in, bust through, start shooting the bad guys. The music, this is one of those films that the music really helps in terms of the action. People forget how important music can be in terms of excitement. And you have that great bit where Martin Lawrence has the bad guys like, you forgot your boarding pass. And he shoots, and that great shot where the explosion and the body of the guy flies out past the camera. It's a really cool shot. Which apparently he wanted to get, and the studio would not let him get the money, so he had to write a check for using his own money to get that shot. I guess before the shot, the city even put the check in front of the camera, and like, well, this is the shot I wanted. It's just a fun, like I say, energetic 90s action movie. You know, I love the bit where maybe this won't be considered PC today with how the clerk acts and talks, but you mother bitches. He's working at a store, pulls a gun on these guys, not knowing they're cops. Oh, you got badges? I got a lot of badges, you mother bitch. And then they pull their guns, you freeze, bitch. Give me a package of tropical bubblicious and some Skittles. So yeah, maybe the plot of the film may seem generic in terms of other buddy action movies. Bad guys took drugs. We need to get the drugs back. We need to protect the witness. We need to rescue the witness. You just say that for a lot of movies, but it's about the presentation. It's about the people involved. And again, because you had two guys who were on the edge of stardom, ready to begin. I mean, they were stars on TV, but they're on the edge of movie stardom. And they were hungry. They were game for it. They wanted stuff to prove. Michael Bay, with the budget they had. Because to be honest, like Jared Bruckheimer and Don Simpson produced it, but they were more busy with Crimson Tide. Because if well, Crimson Tide is going to be the bigger movie. Which I think technically it was, but they were, you know, probably surprised by the success of this movie. And the movie, I don't think it made like $100 million in the U.S., but it made a good chunk of change based on its budget. I mean, this is actually a pretty small budget compared to other Michael Bay films. But Michael Bay had something to prove, and just a hell of a fun movie. Hell of a fun movie. Definitely worth a look for those who are fans of this type of stuff. If you're fans of action films, if you're fans of 90s movies, if you do like the actors, if you want to see the start of Michael Bay, before he really got overboard with the Bayism, which maybe that's actually kind of refreshing. This is actually fairly, in a weird way, subdued compared to other stuff. It still has that style. Well, I would say his true best of Bayism is Bad Boys 2. That's when he went for broke and made an action movie that was also an exploitation movie. And that's kind of the fun bit of Bad Boys 2. Like, it's a mainstream buddy cop actually, but it is an exploitation film with some of the shit that goes on with there. And like that would be my favorite of the Bad Boys movies because of that. But this, uh, I still think I think it's a movie that holds up. Despite maybe some action scenes going, okay, maybe the shotgun would not make a hole as big of a pizza through the door and other little attributes, but just I keep using the word fun because that's what it is. It's just a lot of fun. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.